Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. You know, it's funny. Sometimes you crack open a walnut and you think, huh, that looks kind of like a brain.
Is true.
And it turns out that's not just a random thought. For centuries, people have relied on that kind of observation to understand plants, for medicinal uses.
Yeah.
It's called the Doctrine of Signatures,
That's right.
and we're going to uncover all its secrets.
It's a fascinating journey into um, a system of thought that might seem a little strange to us now, but it was hugely influential for a very long time.
Exactly, and we've got excerpts from articles. We even have a book list to guide us through this, so get ready to, travel back in time.
Yeah.
Let's set the scene a little bit. Imagine it's the 1600s, okay? You've got a splitting headache. What do you do?
No quick trip to the pharmacy for you back then.
Not even close. People had to rely on what nature provided for them. And that is where the Doctrine of Signatures comes in. The core idea was that God, or some kind of divine force, right, embedded clues into the way things looked, the way they smelled, even the way they grew. It's like nature was trying to tell us something.
Like a giant puzzle.
Yeah.
The human body on the one side, the natural world on the other. And the Doctrine of Signatures was the key to fitting all the pieces together.
So going back to our walnut, right, this resemblance to the brain wasn't just a coincidence. People believed that it was a sign. It was a sign that walnuts could somehow boost your brain power.
Right.
And this logic, if you can call it that, was applied to all sorts of plants.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that while it might seem a little bit, out there to us today, this wasn't just, folk medicine, this was like mainstream medicine at the time.
Right.
This was like serious medical texts talking about this stuff well into the 19th century.
Wow.
Yeah.
It really makes you appreciate how differently people viewed the world back then. But where did this whole idea come from?
Huh.
Well, we have one man to thank, or perhaps blame, depending on how you see it, Jakob Boehme.
Yes, fascinating figure.
Yeah, a shoemaker from Germany, of all things.
Right.
Not a doctor, not a botanist.
Nope.
But he had a major impact on the world of medicine.
That's right. Sometimes the most influential ideas come from the most unexpected places.
Absolutely. So picture this. The year is 1600. Boehme has this profound mystical vision.
Okay.
And bam, he becomes convinced that everything in the universe carries a hidden signature
Right.
that reveals its true purpose.
Like a divine code, just
Yeah.
waiting to be cracked.
Exactly. And Boehme felt compelled to share this revelation with the world.
Of course.
And he did so in his book, Signatura Rerum, the signature of all things.
But there.
And while his book focused more on kind of spiritual philosophy, it quickly caught the attention of those interested in its medical applications.
Oh, absolutely. And it's easy to see why. And I mean, imagine being a healer back then.
Right.
Limited scientific knowledge. The idea that God had embedded these clues into nature, it must have been incredibly appealing.
It would have given them a sense of hope, a system to rely on in a world that often felt very chaotic, very unpredictable.
Right.
Okay, so we've set the stage. But now I'm dying to know how this played out in practice. What are some examples of these plant signatures, and what were they supposed to cure?
Yeah.
Welcome back. Last time we were diving into the world of the Doctrine of Signatures, the idea that a plant's appearance could reveal its hidden healing powers.
Right. Yeah.
It's like opening up a field guide and then finding out it's also a prescription pad.
And not just any prescription pad. This is like, the ink is made of starlight. The paper is woven from the fabric of existence itself.
Yeah.
At least, that's how it must have felt.
I love that imagery. It's easy to dismiss this as, outdated thinking, but I think it's important to try to understand the mindset of the time, right?
Right.
We're talking about an era when medical knowledge was far more limited than it is today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Imagine a world without x-rays, blood tests, or even a basic understanding of germs.
Right.
People had to rely on observation, intuition, and in that context, the Doctrine of Signatures, it starts to make a bit more sense.
Yeah, when you don't have the tools to look inside the body, you start to see connections in the world around you, right?
Right, exactly.
And what's more readily available than plants, right?
That's right.
But let's get specific.
Yeah.
You promised me some examples, and I'm eager to hear just how literally people took these so-called signatures.
Oh, you were in for a treat.
Yeah.
Let's start with a plant called hepatica.
Okay.
Now, hepatica, its leaves have 3 lobes, kind of like
The liver.
the liver, exactly. And because of that resemblance, hepatica was considered a go-to treatment for liver ailments.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I see where they were going with that. Hopefully it worked better than some of the other examples we're going to get into.
Well, about that, let's talk about goldenrod.
Okay.
These bright yellow flowers, right?
Yeah.
They're everywhere in late summer. And their color, well, it reminded people of
Jaundice.
jaundice. You got it.
I'm starting to get the hang of this.
Right, exactly. Jaundice, of course, being the condition that causes yellowing of the skin and eyes, was thought to be curable with a dose of goldenrod.
Right, right.
It all seems a bit simplistic now, doesn't it?
It does make you wonder if they just looked around for, like, the closest match and called it a day.
Well, there was more to it than that.
Okay.
Practitioners of this considered a plant's taste, its smell, even where it grew, when determining its use.
Okay.
And that's where we get to some truly remarkable examples, like those documented by William Cole, a 17th century herbalist who really took Boehme's ideas to heart.
Okay, William Cole. Hit me with your best shot.
Well, Cole was a firm believer in what was called sympathetic medicine, the idea that like cures like.
Okay.
And one of his more, shall we say, creative interpretations involved the hawthorn plant.
Okay.
You know, the one with thorns?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I have a feeling I know where this is going.
He believed that because hawthorn has thorns, it could be used to draw thorns out of the body.
Wait, really? That's almost like a magical spell, not medicine.
It does sound that way now, but you have to remember, back then, the line between magic and medicine, it was pretty blurry. And Cole was not alone in his thinking.
Were there other plants with these kinds of, like, literal connections to the human body?
Oh, absolutely. Take lungwort, for instance.
Okay.
Its spotted leaves were thought to resemble
Lungs. Because lungs can sometimes have spots, right?
There you go. You're getting it. Even if the logic seems a bit thin to us now,
Right.
you have to admire the effort, right, to find patterns, to find meaning in the natural world.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a reminder that even when we don't have all the answers, we still crave that sense of order, that sense of understanding.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means finding connections where they might not actually exist.
Precisely. But just when you thought it couldn't get any wilder, the doctrine of signatures takes an even more intriguing turn. Enter astrology.
Okay, now we're really venturing into uncharted territory here. Plants, planets, healing, what's the connection? I can't wait to find out. All right, so we're back. And I gotta say, I'm really curious to see how astrology fits into all this. We've gone from plants that look like body parts to thorns drawing out thorns. Where do the planets come in?
Well, you have to remember that for centuries, astrology wasn't seen as some, mystical or esoteric practice. It was deeply intertwined with science, with medicine, with understanding the natural world.
So it wasn't that much of a leap to then connect the influence of the planets to the healing properties of plants.
Exactly. And the person who really brought these ideas together was a 17th century English botanist, astrologer, Nicholas Culpeper.
Culpeper, of course, I've heard the name, but I never realized he was so into the doctrine of signatures.
Oh, yeah. Culpeper believed that each planet had a specific energy, a signature, if you will, that influenced both plants and diseases. So to treat an ailment, you needed to find a plant that resonated with the same planetary energy.
Okay, that's fascinating, but I'm still a little fuzzy on the specifics. Do you have an example of how this planetary plant magic worked in practice?
Sure. Let's take the planet Mars. Often associated with war, aggression, blood.
I think I see where this is going.
Right. Well, because of that association, red plants like bloodroot, which has this vibrant red sap, were thought to be ruled by Mars. And since Mars was also linked to iron, bloodroot was considered a treatment for anemia, a condition caused by iron deficiency.
So it's like this intricate web of symbolism and association connecting the planets, the plants, the human body. It's honestly mind-blowing how complex this system became.
Absolutely. And Culpeper didn't just keep these ideas to himself. He wrote a book, Culpeper's Complete Herbal, which became incredibly popular.
What?
He even translated older medical texts from Latin into English, making this knowledge accessible to everyday people.
So thanks to Culpeper, the doctrine of signatures, with its astrological twist, became like a mainstream approach to healing, at least for a time.
Yeah.
It's remarkable when you think about it, but all of this leads us to the big question, right? Did any of it actually work?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the answer, as with many things in life, is complicated. While we know today that a plant looking like a body part doesn't automatically make it a cure,
Right.
it's also important to acknowledge that our understanding of medicine has, evolved significantly since the 1600s.
So are you saying there's a chance, however small, that some of these ancient remedies might have had genuine medicinal value?
It's definitely possible. While the logic of the doctrine of signatures might seem flawed now, some of the plants used back then do have scientifically proven medicinal properties. Take willow bark, for example.
Yeah.
Used for centuries to treat pain and inflammation. It contains salicylic acid, the active ingredient in aspirin.
Yeah.
Incredible. It's like they stumbled onto something real, even if it was for completely different reasons.
Exactly. It suggests that this system, while not always accurate, may have led to some genuine medical discoveries. And that's part of what makes the doctrine of signatures so fascinating. It arose from observation, from curiosity, from this deep desire to heal, a combination that has driven countless scientific breakthroughs throughout history.
Right. It's this fascinating blend of, like, magical thinking and genuine inquiry, a reminder that even seemingly outlandish ideas can sometimes hold a grain of truth. So while we might not be consulting the stars to cure a cold or judging a plant's medicinal value based on its appearance anymore,
Right.
the doctrine of signatures offers this really captivating glimpse into how people in the past sought to understand the natural world and their place within it.
And it serves as a powerful reminder that our understanding of the world is constantly evolving. And what might seem far-fetched today could be common knowledge tomorrow. Who knows what future generations will make of our current medical practices?
That's a thought-provoking question to end on. It seems like every deep dive leaves us with more questions than answers.
Always.
But hey, that's what makes this journey so rewarding, right?
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of the doctrine of signatures. Until next time, stay curious.